Good day to you. Welcome to a bite-sized encouragement from me. I want to say that if you saw my post, the video that I posted on the Kathy Mole Ministries page about December, that the theme is Dare to Dream December, because I like my D's, I like my themes and my titles. But I really feel that God is giving believers an invitation to trust Him for the big things, to trust Him for the things that He's promised us up until now. And a lot of people are looking at, we're ending off 2020, obviously, December's here, and what's going to happen next year. And I want to say, as believers, we are not governed by the world system, we're not governed by fear or what the media says. We're not meant to fall into that way of thinking that what they say is what's going to happen. We are led by the Spirit of God. We live according to what God says in His Word about us and according to His faithfulness to fulfill what He's promised us. So, I've been thinking about that scripture in Romans chapter 12 verse 2 that says, "Be not conformed to this world." It says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And be not conformed to this world. And to be conformed means to be pressed into shape. And I'm sure you can agree with me that everything around us that's happened up until now in 2020 has been an opportunity for many people to be pressed out of shape, the shape that we are meant to be. People who walk by faith, who live by faith, who believe in what the Word says, who believe that God is able to preserve and protect His people. And so when it says be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and that is what will stop us being pressed into the shape that the world, that the enemy, that the media, the newspapers, social media, everything is throwing at us, and that's trying to make us into a shape, and that shape I call fear. Now, we are not meant to be governed by fear, and what you empower is what governs you. So if you are listening to all the reports about things may get worse next year, what's going to happen when we take the vaccine, what is the government going to do, how is this going to work, you're going to be pressed out of shape and not be in the shape that you need to be, transformed into the image of Jesus. And so I want to encourage you today to look at the character of God firstly, that God never changes. He is constant. His mercy never comes to an end. He is steadfast. He is faithful to do what He promised to do. Now we have to be looking at all of that and get our eyes fixed on Him and not fixed on the fear that's being thrown at us. We've got to stay in the shape we're meant to be. We are meant to be a royal priesthood, a holy nation, people who know that Jesus is the author and finisher of our faith. And so when you are influenced by the fear that's being thrown at you, you actually empower that fear, and you'll find yourself living in more and more fear. Your life just becomes discouraged and hopeless. But when we turn to the other side, because of the faithfulness of God and we live in faith, we have hope and we find encouragement in God and in His Word. So God is not, one of the things, I want to say this again, let me backtrack. One of the things that I really love about God is the fact that I know He is constant. And He's not like you and I, like human beings. One day we're up, the next day we're down. He is constant. And so I can rest assured, I have security in the fact that God is constant. And so when I look at 2021 coming up, I'm not going to make a whole lot of resolutions. A lot of people end off, because we're going into December, people start making their lists of New Year's resolutions. I want to say to you, don't even bother with resolutions. It's good to have goals. I've spoken to people about having goals and got to have a routine and be disciplined and committed and all of that, yes. But if you set yourself resolutions the way you've always done them, you get into the first month of the new year and already you're discouraged and disillusioned because you can't maintain those resolutions. You set a whole lot of standards for yourself without realizing it. So instead of doing that, maybe set your heart on the faithfulness of God. Set your mind on the things above. Have faith in what God has promised you, and let those be the things that you're going to take with you into 2021. The fact that God is faithful, the fact that you're still here, you're still standing, the fact that God has promised you some things. Let those be your let's call them resolutions, that you're going to put your trust in God. And remembering that God is not bipolar. One day he's up, the next day he's down. One day he's for you, the next day he's against you. No, he's always for you. He's always up. He always has the solution. And he knows how to get you to where you need to be. So let's end the year off well. Let's start off the new year. I know I'm rushing the end of the year, but I think everybody else is. But let's start the new year off on a high, with celebrating the things that we've come through this year, that we're still here today. Praying for people who have lost things this year, and not for 1 second do I want to brush that aside. I know people who lost employment, struggled financially. I know people who lost family members, and it has been a tough year for everybody in the world. But with God on our side, we can do this. And so let's end off strong and start off the new year stronger than we've been before. And remember, if you feel the fear, if you put the news on, you're just going to get it thrown at you, because there's no good news coming to you. There's no hope coming to you from the news. If you're scrolling through the news feed and all you see are the theories about, do we get a vaccine? Is this the end of the world? What's going to happen with the government? Find something else to inspire you, because you're not going to get hope or inspiration from those places. Read a good book. Read the Bible, best book. If you don't know what to read in the Bible, go to the book of John. Go read about Jesus and all the miracles and the things that he did. Get yourself encouraged. Every day you need to be encouraged with something from the Word. If you can't hear from God, maybe you need to be asking him some questions so that he can answer you. And then there's an expectation. End this year off with an expectation that God is going to do something amazing in your life. And I'll see you again soon.